Identity Reveal (brackets Avengers). Written by EmilyWealette on AO3. Mr. Stark? Peter appeared in the lab. Pepper sent me to ask if you're coming up for dinner. No, kid, not tonight. Tony shook his head, tapping something out on the Stark pad he was holding. I'm kinda busy right now. Peter nodded, glancing at Steve before hurrying out. Nice kid, Steve commented. You said it's your intern? Yes, Steve, but that's not really what we should be talking about right now, Tony snapped. Okay. Steve held out his hands in mock surrender. So what exactly is it that we're working against? Tony did not look up from his work. Some kind of alien virus. So far, it's only affecting kids, those under 18. They get a really high fever, vomiting, just normal flu symptoms. Then, in the hour, the brain starts to get really visible, like scary visible, you know? And around the same time, their eyes go completely black and they start acting really aggressive. They'll attack anyone around them for about 2 hours and then die. It's taken about a dozen children already. We've got to figure out how to stop it. Steve inhaled sharply. Okay, so what do you need me to do? Tony paused for a moment. I don't know, Steve. Natasha and Clint are out watching for any particularly aggressive children. You need to go out and help them. Steve nodded. Let us know if you need anything in here, alright? Yeah, Tony nodded vaguely, already immersed in his work. Steve left the room. Tony had only been working for 5 minutes after Steve left when the phone rang. Exasperated, he picked it up, ready to decline, when he noticed it had been May Parker calling. He'd given May his personal phone number in case of emergencies, after she'd learned about Spider-Man, and although he desperately wanted to go back to work and figure out the virus thing, he thought maybe it was something about Peter, made him accept the call. Tony? May's voice came through the phone. It sounded like she'd been crying. Oh, thank God, Tony. I need your help. Please, it's Peter. What's Peter? Tony asked immediately, his veins turning to ice. What's wrong? Well, last night, Peter came back from patrol. He said he wasn't feeling well. He was dizzy, shaking, you know? And then about 10 minutes later, I got back and started vomiting. I noticed I had a fever. And of course, I thought that virus thing, the one's been killing all those kids. But then I heard their brains got visible within the hour, and their eyes go funny and start acting aggressive. 3 hours in, none of that was happening to Peter. So I figured he just got the normal flu. May took a deep breath and sounded like she started crying again. But oh God, Tony, I just went in to check on him, and it's like everyone said. I can see all his veins, and his eyes are black, and he was snapping at me and acting all angry. Then I told him I was taking him to the doctor, and he shoved me into the wall. Broke my window, then left. Tony, I'm so scared. That thing was taking the other kids. It's got him, and I don't know. It's not working through him as fast. Maybe because of his powers, but I'm scared I'm gonna lose him. He can be out there hurting someone right now. He's not himself. He's got these powers. He's dangerous right now, and I can't lose him, Tony. I can't. You've got to help me. The room was swaying in front of Tony, and he felt sick, like he was going to pass out. Not Peter, he kept thinking. Not Peter. Then he pulled himself together long enough to respond to May. Don't worry, May. He tried to sound calming, but he knew his voice was shaking. Don't worry. We'll find him. We'll bring him back here, and we'll figure out how to cure this thing. I won't let it take him, May. We'll figure it out. I'll have Howie pick you up and bring you back here. We'll find Peter. Tony ended the call and began scrolling frantically through his contacts until he found the one he was looking for. Steve, he said. Steve, we've got a situation. You've got to get back here, now. Okay, Tony, what's going on? Natasha demanded. Tony ran a hand through his hair. Spider-Man is currently a threat, he informed them. I need you guys to help me. Find him, subdue him, and bring him back here. But for the love of God, do not hurt him. Got it? Yeah, what? Steve stuttered. What do you mean Spider-Man's a threat? I mean that fucking alien virus thing got him, and now we've got to find the cure within the next few hours, Tony snapped. The alien virus? Steve asked, confused. But I thought... Tony was already gone. It took the Avengers a total of 10 minutes to find Spider-Man. It ended up being Bucky who found him first, sitting on a roof, seemingly staring off into space. It was easy to catch him. He jumped around and whirled as Bucky tried to sneak up behind him to use the sedative Bruce had provided. But Spider-Man lunged to attack. Bucky was able to stab the syringe into his arm. Surprisingly quickly, Spider-Man went limp in Bucky's arms, and he was able to call Tony to fly him back to SI. The Avengers stood outside the medbay, as Bruce worked frantically on Spider-Man. Tony kept trying to help, but it became clear that he was only irritating Bruce, who eventually sent him out to the hallway with the rest of the team. The moment the door closed behind Tony, Steve stepped forward. Okay, Tony, what the hell's going on? He demanded. That virus only affects children. You said it yourself. So, can it spread to adults too? Tony took a deep breath. Okay, there's something I've been keeping from all of you. Well, all of you, Bruce knows the amount of time he spent with the guy, but spit it out, Tony, Natasha snapped. Tony laughed nervously. So, Spider-Man is maybe a little bit younger than we led you to believe. You mean he's not 23? Clint asked. Tony shook his head. So, how old is he? Bucky demanded. You cannot be telling me that Spider-Man is less than 18 years old. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm telling you. There's a possibility that it's maybe, 15? There was dead silence for a moment before Clint swore. Are you fucking kidding me? He exclaimed. He's Spider-Man. Tony, you brought a 15-year-old to Germany. Steve gasped. Tony, I was not holding back with him. None of us were. We could have seriously injured him. I know, Tony snapped. In hindsight, it might not have been my best plan, but he insisted that I didn't tell you guys how old he is, and he begged me not to tell anyone. So I didn't. It was stupid. Maybe I should have told you, but I didn't. And here we all are. Steve shook his head. Fine, I can deal with that. But you have to promise me, Tony. Promise me you're not going to keep keeping any secrets from us, ever. Even about him. Tony gave another nervous laugh again. Well, in that case, there's one more thing you need to know. And that is, Natasha raised an eyebrow. You know Peter Parker? It went silent again. The team seemingly took that in. No way. Clint was the first to speak. No fucking way is that scrawny stick of a kid Spider-Man. There is no way. Well, there apparently is, because he is, Tony said. The internship started as mostly a cover for him working as Spider-Man, but then you guys came back, and we thought it might look suspicious if there was just a random kid hanging out. So we decided he'd actually intern for me, when he wasn't out. Spider-Manning. Holy shit. Clint ran a hand through his hair. And I thought this day couldn't get any weirder.